The Blackwood Creek station was old. It stood alone, far from the town. Thomas arrived as dusk began to bleed across the sky. He was a writer. He searched for forgotten stories, dark tales. Local legends spoke of this place. The air here felt heavy, heavy with unspoken words. He felt a prickle of unease. The station waited. Paint peeled from the station walls like sunburnt skin. Tiles on the platform floor were cracked. Weeds grew wild between the rails. They reached up like skeletal fingers. A large clock hung on the wall. Its hands were frozen, stuck at 11:07, forever. The air smelled of damp earth, of decay, and something else, something like old sorrow. No birds sang here. No crickets chirped, only silence. Thomas felt a strange chill. It was not just the evening air. The silence was too deep, too complete. He tried to shake off the feeling. He was a researcher. He was here to document, not to be frightened by shadows. He opened his bag, took out his camera. Thomas walked slowly along the platform. His footsteps echoed loudly. Echoes bounced off the station walls. He looked down the long, dark tracks. A sudden fear gripped him. Then he saw it. A small flicker of movement near an old, rusted signal box. He squinted his eyes. But the movement was gone, vanished. His heart began to beat faster. He told himself it was nothing, just his imagination. This station was known for its eerie feeling. He took a deep breath. He looked at his notes, tried to focus. Thomas decided to record some audio. He hoped to capture the strange quiet. The silence itself felt like a presence, a heavy blanket over everything. His digital recorder showed only a low hum, a deep, vibrating sound, almost like a distant engine running, but there were no trains. Not for many years. He played the recording back. The strange hum was definitely there, clear, unmistakable. He walked towards the old signal box, the place where he had seen the flicker. The door was rusted shut. Thick cobwebs covered the dirty windows, like grey lace. He pressed his face close to the glass. He peered inside. Dust motes danced in the faint moonlight. They looked like tiny stars. Nothing seemed out of place, nothing unusual, yet the air around the signal box felt colder, much colder. He turned and walked back towards the main station building. The platform seemed longer now, as if it had stretched in the darkness. The shadows were deeper, more menacing. He felt a sudden cold spot, like walking through an invisible curtain of ice. It touched his skin, made him gasp. Night had completely fallen now, a deep dark night. The moon was a thin, pale sliver in the black sky. Clouds drifted slowly, hiding the stars. Thomas sat on a cold, hard iron bench. He unwrapped a sandwich from his bag. He tried to eat, but the bread tasted like dry cardboard. His senses were sharp, too sharp. Every tiny creak of the old station, every rustle of unseen leaves, he heard them all. He decided he would wait. He would stay longer. Perhaps the strange things only happened late at night. He set up a small motion-activated camera. He pointed it down the length of the platform towards the signal box. He took a sip of cold coffee from his flask. It did little to warm him. The loneliness of the place was huge. It was a cold, empty feeling. It seeped deep into his bones. The old station clock, the one with frozen hands, it seemed to tick. A soft, ghostly tick-tock sound. He knew it was impossible. The clock was broken. He stared at its still hands. They pointed to 11:07. The sound of the approaching train was almost deafening now. A great rushing noise, yet still no lights appeared on the dark tracks. Then a figure materialized at the far end of the empty platform, standing in the very spot where a train should have been. The figure was tall and slender. It was dressed in a long, flowing grey dress. It was a woman. Her form was indistinct. She stood perfectly still. Her head was bowed low. Long dark hair fell around her face, hiding it from view. She seemed to be waiting for something, or perhaps she was mourning, lost in some deep sorrow. Thomas froze on the bench. He could not move. He could not make a sound. The air around him dropped suddenly in temperature. He could see his own breath misting in the cold air. The woman slowly began to lift her head. Thomas strained to see her features, but her face remained unclear. Just dark, shadowed hollows where her eyes should have been. A soft, heartbreaking sobbing sound reached him. It was filled with a terrible sadness, a deep, unending despair. The woman in grey glided closer to Thomas. Her long dress trailed silently on the dirty platform. Her feet made no sound at all, only the heartbreaking sobbing and the piercing whistle that seemed to come from her. Thomas fumbled in his pocket for his small camera. His hands were shaking too much. He could not hold it steady. He felt an icy dread creep through his body. This was real, too real. She stopped only a few feet away from him. He could smell a strange scent, damp earth and lilies, the flowers of funerals. He still could not see her face clearly. It was a blur of shadow and deep sorrow. He felt an overwhelming wave of sadness wash over him. It emanated from her like a cold fog. It was suffocating. He struggled to breathe. The air was thick with her grief. She slowly raised one hand. It was pale, slender, ethereal. The fingers were long and thin. It reached out towards him, slowly, deliberately. Thomas flinched away. He squeezed his eyes shut tightly. Thomas wanted to leave Blackwood Creek Station. Every nerve in his body screamed at him to run, but something held him there, a strange compulsion. Was it the historian in him needing to know the truth, or the writer seeking the ultimate dark story? Something darker drawing him in. This place was truly haunted. The weeping woman in grey. He had to see this through to the end, even if it terrified him beyond measure. From the black depths of the tunnel, a figure emerged. It was tall, very tall and imposing. It was dressed in an old-fashioned conductor's uniform, dark blue, almost black, faded and worn. The figure held a tarnished brass lantern in one hand. But the lantern cast no light. Instead, it seemed to draw the shadows deeper around it. The clanking sound was the heavy thud of its boots on the gravel, or perhaps something else. The conductor stopped at the edge of the platform. Its face was completely hidden in shadow, utterly obscured, as if it had no face at all, just a dark, empty void beneath the brim of its cap. Thomas felt a primal fear clutch at his heart, a fear he had never known before. This entity was not sad like the woman. It was angry, it was possessive, it was the guardian of this forgotten station. Its cold presence filled the air. The conductor slowly raised its free arm. It pointed one dark-gloved finger down the tracks, into the oppressive darkness. It was a silent command, a clear instruction. Thomas understood its meaning instantly. The faceless conductor began to advance. Its heavy boots clanked on the platform, louder now, more menacing. Thomas instinctively stepped back. His heel hit the cold brick wall of the station building. He was trapped. The conductor raised its strange, lightless lantern higher. For a fleeting, terrifying moment, Thomas saw a flicker of movement within the conductor's shadowed face. Not one pair of eyes, but countless eyes, staring, lost, trapped. Suddenly, the old station bell began to toll. Loudly, frantically, its rusted clapper striking with desperate force. The broken clock on the wall, the one forever stuck at 11:07, began to spin its hands wildly, round and round, faster and faster. The conductor froze in its tracks. It seemed distracted, confused. The entire station seemed to come alive with ghostly activity. Faint, translucent figures rushed past Thomas, their faces contorted in panic. Faint screams echoed all around. The date on an old peeling travel poster on the wall began to change. The ink seemed to shift and reform. It settled on May 23rd, 1925. Today's date, exactly 100 years ago. The weeping woman appeared again, but this time she was young.